In this video, we're going to take a look at two tools that LinkIt offers in order to get a better sense of how your students are really doing on their standards and skills that you've tagged in your LinkIt assessments. So this is going to allow us to have a more in-depth look at our students individually, our tests that we're creating, and then look at our class and really get an idea of where your classes are falling on the standards that you're addressing. So the first thing you'll do is use the reporting icon and then click Dashboard. That will open a new tab for you where you'll be able to select a class. We're going to start with just any one of the classes that you teach. And then once you're here, you can use the green Select Data button. Or if you see the assessment that you want to use right here at the bottom where the tiles are, we can go there as well. So the first area that we're going to visit is called item analysis. And that's where this purple circle is with the magnifying glass. I could click it right here and get there. Or if for some reason I didn't see the assessment as one of these tiles, instead, I will use the Select Data button, bringing us to the big data warehouse where we will then try and find the assessment we're looking for. The easiest way to do that is by using the search box. And then I can see the assessment here that I want to see. And then again, I can use either of the purple circles in order to get to item analysis. In this new window, we're now looking at this test, the Form A test, and we're able to see each item listed, and then we're able to get some really great information about how the students did. I'm going to close the side panel on the left just so that I have a little bit more room. So the first thing you'll notice is there's some colors going on here. For each item, it will give you an idea of how your students did in terms of what percentage chose the right answer. The more students that chose the right answer will be the darker green. And then you can see as we scroll down that the less number of students that chose the right answer, like in this example, will have a highlighted background of red. Now, I'm going to be looking with my eyes very closely for anything that is a number that's written in red. So for example, this one shows that 40% of the students chose the wrong answer. And you might want to say to yourself, well, what is that question like that is misleading them to pick letter B instead of letter C? So at that point, you can scroll over to where the item number is and click on it, and it will show you the question. So you might be able to gather some more information about why they were duped by letter B and they did not choose letter C instead. Might be the test creation, might be the way that your teaching is. It's a good place for reflection in terms of assessment creation, if it's one that you've created yourself, and also just teaching methods, right? So I'm going to close this out, and you can see there's a couple places where I might want to investigate those red numbers and figure that out. Okay. Now, moving forward, I also might want to get a better look at my students, specifically how they did. So across the top here, I have a couple of tabs, and I'm going to jump to the Student Answers tab. This is going to give you a chart that shows the student names and obviously what answers they selected, but choosing one student name just to start, clicking on them, it's a hyperlink, will bring you to a view that has a lot of useful information about that student, specifically if you're reporting to parents or if you're meeting with other teachers. So the first thing you can see at the top is the item detail. A nice thing to throw in here using the right side panel is time spent. So you can click and show how much time the student spent on each question. And then if you wanted to have the district average or class or school average, you can put that in there. So sometimes that's helpful to see whether or not the student gave it a fair shot if it seemed like a difficult question. Another thing that I like about this is if you scroll down, because this has standards and skills attached to it, you can see very clearly how the student is doing on their standards. You can see which questions were related to which standards, which ones they got incorrect. And moving down even further, there are categories for topics and skills. So this can be very useful when meeting with teachers, when meeting with other faculty members that work with this student and comparing information in terms of how they're doing. This can all be found in that purple circle, which is called item analysis. If this was something you wanted to print, you would change it to grayscale mode, and then you can go to actions and print the current student. Similarly, to look at the next student in this sort of view, you just use this little button at the top, the arrow to the right, and you're able to flip through and look at the students. So again, let me go back. This is all in item analysis, which is that purple magnifying glass. If you don't see that purple magnifying glass next to a test, then that means that there are no skills and standards attached to that. So for example, this one I'm only able to get just basically a virtual gradebook. There's no skills and standards attached to it. So that's what makes going that extra step and putting skills and standards in so important. Now, going back to that Form A, we've done the purple magnifying glass of item analysis. Let's quickly look at the class diagnostic. So that would be the red circle with the stethoscope on it. Again, this is for skills and standards. And now I'm able to see as a class, how did my students do with the standards? If I click the average column, it will sort them either low to high or high to low. So I could focus in really on what are the bottom standards that my kids are struggling with. And even more so, if I click the actual number, 42, it will show me how the students did. I can make my threshold over here slide down. So show me anybody who got less than half, let's look at. And so I might be able to use this for some small group instruction. These are the kids that really struggled with this standard. Similarly, I can move to the next standard and see students that struggled with that. A lot of times it is the same population, but not always. And so you're able to take a look at this and see it there. If you had other things tagged besides standards, such as topics or skills, you can switch it to that and do the same thing. So let's take a look at, wow, literary elements is something that my group's struggling with this year. Let me take a look at who really would need some additional assistance and try and figure out how to provide that. So again, this is something that can be found under the class diagnostic, which is the red circle that shows you how the class does as a whole with the skills and standards. Hopefully this is helpful. If there's anything else that you want to look at more into LinkIt, please feel free to reach out to one of your computer support teachers.